Shellie, thanks for joining me today on the podcast.
My pleasure.
So let's kick it off. Let's spill the tea. What is your job title and how long have you been with Novartis?
So, official job title, Senior Recruitment Consultant. Every other job title that people know me as is Mum, Paracetamol, I need some of them, Snack Lady. If anyone's ever got a problem, Mum.
Everyone comes to you.
So yeah, just a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
but predominantly Senior Recruitment Consultant.
Yeah, and to be fair, I can vouch for that because I always come up to you and say, Shellie, can you just proofread this for me, please?
No,
can you
don't.
just have a little look?
Shellie, can you look at this? If it goes up at the end, I know that someone wants something.
Yeah, it's always a high-pitched voice. Yeah.
It's nice to feel needed. So I can't
complain. Okay, unreal. Did you have experience in recruitment before you joined Novartis?
Nope, none whatsoever. I came from a call centre background.
Okay.
I think the hardest thing was coming from such a scripted background where you had specific words to say. You weren't allowed to go outside of that. So then come into this job where I can just say whatever I want. As long as I don't offend anyone. Sometimes you have to match the energy of the client or candidate. A couple of F-bombs might go in there. But yeah, call centre background, predominantly sales. But obviously recruitment is pretty much sales as well. So very transferable, but no actual recruitment.
Okay.
Whatsoever.
So coming from a cold calling sales background into recruitment, what would you say was like the biggest eye opener when you joined the business?
I think because in a call centre environment, it's very much this is what you do, this is what you say, and this is the outcome. So it was all very much like every call, even though like all the calls were different, but there was a set specific outcome for each scenario. Whereas recruitment, like don't work with animals and people. Like, you could go into one call and it'll be completely opposite to what you think it's going to be. It could lead to something completely different. So I think it was the whole, I don't want to say not being able to be prepared for anything. I mean, in recruitment, you need to be prepared for anything. But I think it was the endless possibilities of scenarios and situations.
So why did you actually decide to leave your old job and work in recruitment?
I think what drew me to it the most was the whole autonomy of it. I'd done 6 years in a call centre. Granted, I only did part-time because obviously I had young kids. So number one, wanted a full-time role. It sounds really cheesy, but I didn't want to just be mum. And it turns out I'm still mum there.
You've got about 10 children here, whereas you've got 2 at home.
But yeah, I think because I wanted such a change. I wanted a career somewhere that I can actually progress. And I think that's what led me to Novartis over any other sort of recruitment agency. But it was predominantly the autonomy. So just running your own little desk within a wider business. I could create Shellie Bayliss at Novartis rather than I just work for Novartis.
Put your own stamp on it.
Yeah. And have the freedom to do so.
Yeah.
So it's like in other roles that I've had with other companies, whilst it's a sales role and people buy from people, there's still a very strict way of well, you can't do that, you can't say that sort of thing. So at least with this, whilst you're still to certain constraints and processes, you can literally make it whatever you want to be.
Yeah. And I feel like you're always on client visits as well. You're always out and about, spreading your wings.
Love that.
Not chained to your desk.
No. Yeah, do enjoy clients. I hated clients when I first started. I was petrified of clients. You know, like when you're in school and you had your swimming lessons, you're like, I can't go swimming. Like hurt myself or whatever. Yeah. And, you get out swimming. I feel like that's what I did to Georgia in my first few weeks in the training bed. Like, I've got a headache.
Yeah,
so I don't care. Client. But now I absolutely love being on clients.
Yeah, I prefer clients over candidates.
I just think, I mean, I still love candidates. But I think the more you get out there and you meet them, and more so from I am quite a geek in that I do really like rail and rolling stock. I'll go home and I'll Google stuff and I'll look at projects, and then I think going out and understanding what the client needs in terms of candidates. If you said they work on bogies or wheel sets, not real bogies. It's like
just FYI, we are not on about the bogies that everyone else is probably thinking right now.
And then going out to a client thing, and I'm just thinking it's this tiny little thing that goes on a train. No, it's absolutely massive. And I'm like, okay, so when you say they need that experience, it makes sense now. So
yeah,
and it's a nice little day out. And I always take donuts. So
it's a win-win for everyone.
it is indeed.
So I feel like you've probably already answered what I'm about to ask you next, which is what is your favourite thing about working at Novartis and working in recruitment? Gonna hazard a guess that it's going to be the client visits, or is there something else?
There's an element of it being client visits. Another big element, so cheesy, the people that I work with. Yeah, I think
like me.
not like you. Yeah, you can't say no to marketing. No, I think like having such a good team around you and having like such a good supportive system of like Matt and everyone like that, like it isn't the easiest job in the world.
No.
Sometimes it's the most stressful thing you've ever gone through.
Yeah.
If you've had like dropouts or whatever sort of happens. But I think having such a good team and a good wider team,
yeah,
you know, predominantly we're in the rail team, but you've got rail contract, you've got civil, like we all interchange.
Yeah.
That massively helps because it's like, right, get back up, you can do it, keep going.
Yeah.
And just back to the autonomy thing. Like I genuinely feel like I've got my own little business.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's nice to like go to events or go to things and people be like, seen you all over LinkedIn.
Yeah, I feel like people are starting to know who you are now.
Yeah.
On
there was
LinkedIn.
A short period of time where everyone knew me as the woman who stuck the kid in the cage.
Oh yeah,
when
you
you
put your
I didn't put the kid in the cage. The kid got in the cage.
How old was he at the time?
3 at the time.
So you put your 3-year-old child in a dog cage.
Incorrect. A 3-year-old child climbed in the dog cage at midnight, setting the sensor off.
Well, you know.
I mean, look, it got loads of likes and comments.
That's it. So Facebook, LinkedIn famous. So what would you sort of say to other recruiters who are maybe working in another recruitment firm? Like, why should they join Novartis? Like, say if, for example, there's somebody who's kind of sat there and they're a bit on the fence as to whether or not they want to leave their current recruitment company. Like, why? What would you sort of say to them in terms of, you know, just sort of go for it, like join Novartis over where they are now? Like, what would kind of make them?
I think my main one, purely because of like my journey and like sort of where I want to be, is probably the progression. I think a lot of the people and like friends that I speak to are also in recruitment kind of find like a stalemate kind of situation where they maybe get to senior or they get to principal and then it's like, well, do I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
But like with Novartis, you can take the principal route. You can then make all the way up to associate director.
Yeah.
Or you can go down the management route.
Yeah.
Or you can kind of have like a bit of both. So you can kind of go through the principal route but do like the mentoring and the coaching with the sort of junior members of staff. So I think because you've got that, and I think the biggest thing with that is it is based purely on your progression, like purely on your promotion. It's not so-and-so's leaving, so we need to fill this spot.
Yeah, 100%.
Or we need a manager for that team, let's go and put an advert out. Like, I don't think for God knows how long.
No, there's no like grey areas. It's very much as soon as you walk in on that first day. Like I'm sure when I started back in 2020 as a consultant, I actually got handed a sheet that had the progression chart on it, and it said like from 0 to 12 months expectation, and like the pay rises and everything like that on there. So yeah, that does make sense.
And the uncut commission. That's always a winner.
Always a winner.
Because a lot of other people, I think, they have like thresholds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you can come in from day one, and if you make money, you make money.
100%.
And just the culture. I think the culture's really good. We have some fantastic Christmas dues. We don't talk about the Christmas dues.
You're not going to this year's Christmas
dues, I'm really upset about it. Going on holiday in a caravan. It's a holiday. Mum's paying for it. I can't say no. I tried really hard. I can't remember what I was saying.
To be fair, I think you've given quite a detailed answer there. But so in terms of, as we know, candidates do come up with some wild excuses. What is the wildest excuse that you have been given from a candidate as to why they've either not showed up to an interview or they haven't taken the offer given to them?
There's a few that I'd love to say, but genuinely can't say. Not appropriate for a podcast.
Not PC.
Or maybe legal.
Great.
I did have a guy once that couldn't get to an interview because there was sheep in the road. He was on the phone to me whilst trying to herd the sheep out of the road, and I was like, "Is there another way you could go?" And he was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "So why don't you just turn around and go the other way?"
Animal protection.
I don't know. I think that's probably the wildest. I've not really had too many wild experiences with candidates, to be fair.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not very juicy.
No. I'm just trying to picture it in my head. So he's literally got out of the car, is left his car, and is deciding that he now is a sheepdog.
Yes.
And he's trying to.
Yeah, his screams were fantastic.
The sheep.
Yeah.
They probably weren't real. They probably were fake.
No, I don't think they were.
Did he send you like video evidence?
Yeah.
Okay,
it was like, can you send this on to the client? It was his screams that got me, and then I'm trying, because he was genuinely scared, so I'm trying to like keep my cool and not laugh at him. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't think of any others, to be fair, that would be appropriate for this platform.
Okay, love that. Another question: if you could have a superpower that would help you in your job, what would it be and why?
Ooh, it's a very good question.
It is a very good question.
My instant answer wants to be like I'd have like an internal lie detector, so I could tell when people were lying. That saved me so much time.
Yeah, then they wouldn't need to give video evidence of the sheep in the road.
Exactly. Or either like invisibility or teleportation. So I could go and sit in that interview, and when they tell me that they want a certain figure, and then they go in the interview and say, I want more, and then it makes me look like a tool.
At least then you've sat there, you've heard it from, is it the horse's mouth?
The horse's mouth.
From the horse's mouth.
Or to see how the actual interview went, because you do get candidates like, it was amazing, it was great, they basically offered me the job, and then you speak to the client and they're like, no. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, probably it was internal lie detector or teleportation.
Okay. And if you could give a future recruiter one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink anything.
Yeah.
Matthew Martin will back me up on this one every week in our weekly meeting. If you're going to ring us, if you're looking at a CV and you've spent 10 minutes looking at the CV, just ring it. If you get an email from a client and you're like, oh, I'll just email them back, don't email them back, just ring them. I had a really bad habit of like playing out every situation and every interview in my head for like worst case scenario. And I was like, they're going to have a car crash on the way there. They're going to...
intrusive thoughts, overtaking your mind.
Like a bridge has fallen down and squashed them. The sheep have attacked him. And then I'd plan it all out, and then I'd be like, oh, it's actually going to be okay. But yeah, I just think don't overthink everything, because you're not going to find the perfect person that the client wants.
No, exactly.
We'd all be very, very rich if we could. So I just think, don't overthink it.
Maybe that could actually be a good superpower. To be able to like create a perfect candidate that you knew was going to get the job.
Maybe I could clone them. The first thing I cloned was a sheep.
Yeah.
Dolly.
Yeah, Dolly the sheep.
There we go.
Taught
me car school, taught me an
perfect
abundance of information. Yeah, Dolly the sheep.
I remember Dolly the sheep.
Yeah.
I think, do you learn it in biology?
I did science, turning into a posh pink pepper school.
No, in secondary school you literally do physics.
I did science. I did science and applied science.
To say you're older than me, you're a millennial, not a Gen Z. So.
Was
it O-levels back then?
No! Jesus.
Okay, kind of leading on to that then, what do you think is the most important skill that you need to be successful in recruitment?
Is resilience a skill? More of
it.
I'd say resilience is probably up there.
Yeah, resilience is definitely a skill, because do you know how I kind of judge if something is a skill? You know, when you're reading a CV and people literally list their skills at the top of a CV. So like resilience and good communication skills.
I put resilient on my CV. I wasn't resilient at that time. I told him I lied.
Sorry, Matt, she lied.
Resilience. But I think that's more personally, because I think that's probably what I had to learn very quickly. Especially like in the early days where your wins are a lot smaller, like, oh, I've booked a meeting, or I've got a guy for an interview, and then it's like the next day the guy's like, actually it's too far. And I'm like, oh, like my whole world's just falling apart. And that, like, you have to constantly be resilient. Like, that doesn't go away. You just learn how to do it. But then I think on the back of that, it's like then learning like from your mistakes, and probably having that ability to be like, yeah, that was on me. Like, we're not perfect. There's going to be certain things that we miss.
Holding yourself accountable.
Yeah, that's a good word. Accountability. But yeah, resilience.
I agree.
Yeah, I think as long as you've got the gift of the gab, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah, as long as you just talk the talk.
Yeah,
then you're fine.
Don't walk the walk, fall over like I do everywhere I go.
Yeah, well, this actually leads on to final question.
Ooh.
Which is, what is the funniest stroke most embarrassing thing that has happened to you during your time in recruitment?
We're not talking about Christmas parties.
Oh no, we cannot. I don't think talking about the Christmas party is PC. Or is it PG? Is it PG or PC?
Probably both.
It's not politically correct, and your children definitely can't watch it.
Probably. So a while ago now, so Nick Andrew.
Are you allowed to say his name? Are we allowed to disclose his information?
Yeah.
Okay.
He organised it, doing a little plug-in promotion here. Organised the Doncaster meet-up for the Rolling Stock. Held it at Relish, and it got invited. So I was like, oh, look at me getting invited to this Rolling Stock event. So I brushed my hair.
Celebrity.
Brushed my hair
in the Rolling Stock industry.
Yeah. Waltzed in, and they were like, oh, it's a free bar. I was like, I'll be sensible. I'm driving. I'll have a glass of wine. So I've got myself a glass of wine, and I'm mingling, and I'm networking, and I'm trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. And it was going really well up until the point of I was speaking to a guy, and you know, like when you can see someone speaking to you. I had no idea what was going on.
It's just fuzzy.
And the next second he went, you've gone really pale. And he was like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't think so. The next thing I knew, I'm getting picked up off the floor by Nick Andrew and Sam Hurd at Unipart, carried to the toilet because I absolutely decked it in front of everyone. I just got really hot and sweaty, and I just decided to pass out. So yeah, that was really embarrassing.
Yeah.
But the follow-up was great, because I was like, okay, cool. Hi, it's Shellie from the Voice. You know, the girl who fell over
the one who decked
Relish.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, I actually got a couple of jobs out of that, so that was good.
See, there's always a silver lining.
I'm just gonna start decking it now.
Yeah, just.
Or I'm really bad at like getting whole way through like a Teams meeting or a face-to-face meeting, and I'm really personable. I like using people's names in meetings. So I'm like, oh, thanks, Mark. That's great. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, lovely to meet you, Mark. And he went, oh, one last thing. My name's John. And I was like, cool. I'm going to call you Mark from now on.
How did you even get that confused?
No idea. We still talk now. And
I swear it even says on the Teams like video window.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Their name.
100%.
So are you blind?
Yeah, he introduced himself as well. I just like that he left it right to the end. So yeah, other than that, not really. And just not having any knowledge in the office. All you young people. I can't remember who was talking, and we were talking about sunbeds, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm on the tanners. Didn't really know what tanners were like. And Billy and Denley were like, tanners? You're having tanners? And I was like, yeah, there's sunbeds.
And they were like, no.
Yeah, and I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue about anything. Memes, memes.
Sorry, Gemma Collins.
Gosh, fighting, damn it!
And meme.
So yeah, regularly embarrassed in the office.
Well, it wouldn't be the same without you, Shellie.
Thanks so much. Well, you'd all be struggling and have no paracetamols.
We would be. Or a tape measure, or a bottle of golden syrup.
Mini screwdriver.
Yeah.
Always need.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
Thanks for having
me on this podcast.
Cheers!
Cheers, honey.